Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is mother. Let's take a moment and review some of the definitions or the ways that we can use this verb. The first way you're likely to encounter the verb mother means to bring up a child with care and affection. And related to that, our second definition here is to look after someone kindly and protectively, even to the point where it is a bit excessive, kind of going over the top with that protection and kindness. A third way you might see this verb used can mean to give birth to a child as well. So, all of those definitions kind of related and connected there. So, we're thinking of bringing up, raising a child, or caring for someone else. For now, you should know that mother is a regular verb. If you want to form the progressive form of the verb, all you need to do is add ing, and that forms mothering. The past tense and the participle form of this verb can be made by adding ed. Our base verb, mother, ends in a voice sound. This means the ed ending is just going to make a d sound, and we're not going to add an extra syllable as we say it. So the past tense and the participle form of the verb should sound like this: mothered, mothered. Now, you might be relieved to know no phrasal verbs for us to study or discuss today. So we'll move on and do a little verb tense practice as we look at some examples. Today, I thought it would be good to review the present perfect progressive and the simple future. Let's start with the present perfect progressive. With this verb tense, we are generally talking about an action that started in the past and one that continues into the present. And what we're doing with the present perfect progressive or present perfect continuous here is describing many times how long a particular action has been ongoing or has been continuing. Okay? Now, I've already mentioned you might hear this verb tense labeled one of two ways. They both mean the same thing. I like using present perfect progressive because the three P's can help you remember you need three parts to make your verb. And this is going to be a verb tense where we need to pay attention to our subject. If the subject is I, you, we, or they, we'll use have, then the participle been, B-E-E-N, and then the ing form the verb. But if our subject is he, she, or it, we'll use has been, and the ing form the verb. You can see that in this example. Childless women have been mothering the world and elevating cultures. You don't need to have a baby to help push humanity forward. Now, I borrowed these words from an actress who was giving a speech in the last year and talking about the many different contributions that women have made. This particular woman does not have children of her own, and so she made a point to kind of stress the many different roles people can play to have that sort of protective, kind, and caring relationship with others to hopefully lead to a better future for the whole world. Now, if you want to make a negative present perfect progressive sentence, again, start with your subject, use have or has, whichever form matches, then not, then the participle been, and then the ing form of the verb. You can see that in my example. She hasn't been mothering anyone since her only child died last year. Very sad sentence there. But you get the idea of present perfect progressive. Finally, let's take a look at how we make a yes or no question in the present perfect progressive. To do this, you'll start with have or has. Then you'll have your subject, then the participle been, and then the ing form the verb. Here's my last example. Has she been mothering for more than 20 years? So, might think of that along the lines of sort of raising children, caring for them. Now, let's move on and talk about the simple future. Today, we're going to make some sentences with be going to. This is most commonly used when people are discussing their plans. It's not as common to see it with predictions, offers, or promises, but you may still still may run into examples of that. When we make sentences with be going to, we have to pay attention to our subjects. And that's because we'll be using a present form of be. So if our subject is I, use am, going to, and the base verb. If your subject is you, we, or they, use are, A-R-E, going to, and the base verb. And finally, if your subject is he, she, or it, you'll use is going to and the base verb. Let's take a look at an example. She is going to mother him to success. Right? This sentence to me is implying that idea of maybe being overly protective or overly caring, right? Really sort of pushing this particular child to some sort of successful outcome. Now let's look at negative simple future sentences. To do this, again, start with your subject, then use the form of be that matches, then not, going to, and then the base verb. Here's another example. That new girlfriend isn't going to mother him like his last one did. Okay. So again, back to that second definition of being caring, protective, and some of those qualities we associate with mothers. Finally, if you want to make a yes or no question in the simple future, start with your form of be, whatever form matches your subject, that subject comes next. Then use going to and then the base verb. Here's my last example. Are their daughters going to mother their new baby sister? You might see that verb used again with that idea that these older siblings are going to be providing sort of the kind of loving care that we associate with parents. Now, let's move on and talk about some words that are related to our verb mother. And of course, the first word we're going to discuss here is the noun form of this word. The noun mother has the exact same spelling and the exact same pronunciation as our verb. It can also have a couple different meanings. The first way you'll see it used, and I think I have used it this way already a couple times, is to talk about a woman in relationship to either a child or her children. So sometimes as we're filling out forms, you might hear something like, please write your mother's name on this line. A second way you'll hear the noun mother used is to talk about important female figures that were either responsible for creating or starting something or very involved in the early history of something. So, an example of this, Rachel Carson is known as the mother of the modern environmental movement. So, this is a person who was a really prolific writer, was making people aware of certain things going on and how we needed to change and protect in different environments that were being destroyed by human beings. Another related word you might encounter is the noun motherhood. This is referring to the state of being a mother. An example of how you might hear this used. What has motherhood taught you? And if you happen to be a mother watching this video, I'd encourage you, share with us. Maybe you can work this word into your sentence. Another word you might encounter is the adjective motherly. This generally is describing something that is of or resembling or characteristic of a mother. And many times, what we associate it with is with being very caring, very kind, very protective. An example of this. She never gave her children a motherly embrace. Again, maybe kind of a sad or difficult description here, but someone was not sort of behaving or acting in a way of what we think of or what we associate with mothers. So this might not have been an affectionate person, someone who liked to hug, but that's what that sentence is describing. I'm going to leave us with one phrase, and it's the mother of all. If you hear this used in a sentence, generally what someone is trying to explain or describe is an extreme example or maybe a very large quantity or specimen of some specified thing. So, an example of this is the company headed toward the mother of all stock crashes in 2025. So, saw some sentences like this, kind of talking about some really profitable companies and how some investors are maybe a little worried, a little concerned, and kind of want to know, right? Are we going to see this monstrous or gigantic drop in their stock prices in the coming year? You'll hear people use this phrase like the mother of all traffic jams, right? So, again, trying to explain maybe it's the worst they have ever experienced. Now, I should thank you for watching today's video. If you have any verbs you'd like me to discuss in 2025, I always love your comments and suggestions. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.